In a small forgotten village, a poor farmer's son dared to dream. He faced hunger, loneliness, and countless failures, yet he never gave up. This is the story of Adam, the boy who turned his struggles into strength and his hope into a shining light. Stay with us till the end because his journey will inspire your own. And don't forget to subscribe to Heart Scrolls for more powerful life stories that touch the soul. Let's to the story. Far from the shining city lights, hidden among forests and fields, there was a small village where life was simple yet harsh. Among the mud houses, broken roads, and long days of hard work lived a boy whose eyes carried a different kind of sparkle, Adam. Adam's childhood was not like other children's, filled with games and laughter. He would often sit under the big banyan tree at the edge of the village, staring at the sky as if trying to listen to some hidden secret from the stars. He always felt he was not just part of this village, but of a greater world where dreams could turn into reality. The villagers thought he was strange. Adam, dreams won't fill your stomach, go plow the field or catch some fish, old Samuel would often tease. But in Adam's heart was a stubbornness of its own. He wanted to do something great, something so big that just hearing his name would make the villagers feel proud. His father was a simple farmer, and his mother managed the household with small tasks. Despite their poverty, they never let the light in their son's eyes fade. His mother would often say, "Son, no one can stop dreamers from changing the world. All it takes is courage." At night, when everyone slept, Adam lit a lamp and read old books he had found in a broken box from an old library. To him, those books were treasure, a treasure of knowledge that would one day carry him beyond this village to a place where he could build his own identity. For Adam, this journey had only just begun, but he had no idea how many storms awaited him ahead. Adam's life was never easy. The poverty of the village had become a major obstacle in the path of his dreams. Before the sun even rose, he would go to the fields, sweat into the soil, and carry the burden of the land until evening just to bring home a little grain or a few coins. His clothes were old and torn, his shoes broken and covered in dust, but the sparkle in his eyes never faded. Often, when the evening lamp was lit, he would return home exhausted and open his old books again, beginning to dream once more. The villagers always mocked him. "Adam, dreams won't do anything. You need hard work to fill your stomach." But Adam only smiled in silence because he knew poverty was just a condition, not a destiny. His mother often encouraged him, "Son, poverty never becomes anyone's fate. Those who work hard always win." In Adam's heart was a firm resolve. He wanted to lift his parents out of poverty, give the village children their right to education, and turn his dreams into reality. But he also knew that breaking the chains of poverty would take more than dreams. It required both sacrifice and hard work, and Adam had come to understand this truth. Adam's days were spent in labor and hard work. Yet in his heart, the fire of learning never stopped burning. Whenever he finished his work in the fields and passed by the old village library, his eyes would rest on the worn-out books. But poverty kept him from buying any. All he could do was breathe in the scent of the books and move on with longing in his eyes. One such evening, as the sun was setting and the sky was bathed in golden light, Adam met an old man. He was the village's retired teacher, known to everyone as Mr. George. His hair was white, his face marked with the wrinkles of age, but in his eyes shone the warmth of love and the light of knowledge. "Mr. George looked at Adam closely, as if he recognized the thirst hidden within him. With a gentle smile, he asked, "Son, you come here every day. You look at the books, but why don't you read them?" Adam lowered his gaze and replied in a soft voice, "Teacher, I don't have enough coins to buy a book, but my heart longs to learn." Hearing this, Mr. George's eyes filled with tears. He placed his hand on Adam's shoulder and said, "Son, knowledge has never depended on coins. Knowledge is the light of the heart, and that light only grows when it is shared." From that day forward, Mr. George took Adam under his wing. In the evenings, after his work in the fields was done, Adam would sit with the teacher and he would teach him. At first, the letters and words, then stories, then history, and finally the sayings of great men. Adam felt as if his world had completely changed. When the teacher spoke, his words etched themselves onto Adam's heart. Mr. George would often say, "Son, poverty may be written on a man's clothes, but wisdom and knowledge can erase it." These words became a guiding light for Adam. For the first time, he realized that the true way out of poverty was not wealth but knowledge. Mr. George not only taught him to read and learn, but also showed him that knowledge should never be kept just for oneself, but used for the benefit of others. A new dream was born in Adam's heart, a dream not only for himself, but for every child in the village. Now Adam's eyes carried the same light that once shone in his teacher's eyes. It was the light of knowledge, of hope, and of love. Adam's life was no longer the same. Under Mr. George's guidance, a deep love for knowledge had taken root in his heart, and he would lose himself for hours in the world of books. But the problem was that the village's small library had only a few old limited books. Adam longed to learn more, to discover new ideas, and to fill his soul with the fragrance of greater books. Yet poverty was still a wall before him. Coins were needed to buy books, and even after a whole day of labor, Adam was left with only a few coins. Most of those went toward bread for the family or medicine for his mother. Many nights came when Adam went to bed hungry, bearing his yearning for a book deep in his heart. So Adam made a decision. After each day's work, he began saving a few coins for himself. Sometimes he ate one less piece of bread. Sometimes he held on to old clothes instead of replacing them. And sometimes, instead of joining his friends, he lit a lamp in the dark night and studied. After months of sacrifice, when he finally had enough coins to buy his first book, Adam's face shone with a joy brighter than the treasures of any king. From an old shop, he bought a book, pressed it to his chest, and walked home, feeling as though he had gained the most precious wealth in the world. It was not just a book. For Adam, it was a door leading him from darkness into light. Slowly, a small collection of books began to gather in Adam's room. To him, they were more valuable than gold or silver. Each page opened a new world, each word strengthened his courage, and each lesson reminded him that true treasure lies not in wealth but in knowledge. Adam had come to understand that books are not merely paper and ink, they are lamps that lead generations out of darkness and into the light of hope. Adam's heart was now filled with the light of knowledge, the guidance of Mr. George, and the moments spent with books had opened a new world within him. But while his dreams grew bigger, the people of the village began to target him with taunts and laughter. Most of the villagers were used to poverty. For them, bread, water, and a roof were everything. They could not understand why a farmer's son was wasting his energy on books. In the market streets, whenever Adam asked about an old book, the shopkeeper would laugh and say, "Adam, books won't fill your stomach. Better spend that time plowing the fields." Even his friends often mocked him. Adam dreams of becoming a king. What will these books do for him? Buy him land? Build him a palace? And then they would all burst into laughter. Even the children of the village gathered around him and chanted, "Bookworm, bookworm." Adam heard all these taunts and they hurt his heart. Many times he felt like giving up his dreams and living an ordinary life like the others. But when he saw the weariness on his mother's face or the sparkle of hope in Mr. George's eyes, he realized that abandoning his dreams would mean losing himself. One night, as the villagers mocked and laughed at him, Adam quietly looked up at the sky. Under the cluster of stars, he whispered to himself, "They laugh today, but one day my knowledge and my dreams will be the light that ends the darkness." From that day on, Adam decided he would not let their mockery weaken him. He had understood that those who dream big must first endure the scorn of others. Now there was a new determination in Adam's eyes. He was turning the villagers' laughter into fuel for his courage. Deep in his heart, he carried a firm belief that one day he would prove to them all that dreaming is not a sin but an act of bravery. For the first time in his life, Adam had begun to dream, and he was working day and night to make those dreams real. His love for books, Mr. George's guidance, and his mother's sacrifices had ignited a fire inside him. He knew that if he wanted to escape the darkness of poverty, knowledge was his only salvation. After months of hard work, Adam finally got his first big opportunity. In a nearby town, an exam was being held, and passing it meant admission into the city's academy. This was the dream Adam had burned his nights for, studying under the dim light of a lamp until his eyes turned red, ignoring his exhaustion after long days in the fields. When the exam day arrived, the villagers laughed as they saw him leave. "The bookworm is off to take the exam. Let's see what this farmer's boy can do." But Adam carried belief in his heart as he walked into the town's school. Inside, dozens of children sat in neat clothes with fine pens and proper books. Adam only had an old pen and a few sheets of paper given by Mr. George. When the exam began, his hands trembled. Many of the questions were things he had never seen before. The books he owned had not been enough. His heartbeat grew faster. He wrote down whatever he knew, but deep inside he was breaking apart. The results day came. Outside the school, children celebrated with joy. Many names were on the list. With shaking hands, Adam looked for his name. It wasn't there. The moment struck him like lightning. Tears filled his eyes. The villagers were already mocking. "We told you so. What good are books to a farmer's son? He can never do it." He walked home slowly. His mother looked at his face and understood everything. Adam broke down and said, "Mother, maybe these dreams aren't for me. Maybe this world belongs only to the children of the rich I've lost." His mother wiped his tears and said in a gentle voice, "Son, remember this. The first failure is always the hardest, but it is also the greatest step forward. The one who breaks will never win. But the one who stands back up after losing, he is the one who changes history." Hearing his mother's words, Adam fell silent. His heart was still wounded, but somewhere deep inside, a small ray of light remained alive. He now knew that dreaming was not easy, and success never came with the first attempt. Adam's failure had left a deep wound in his heart. The villagers' words, their laughter, and their taunts kept echoing in his ears. But what hurt him the most was the thought that he had failed to live up to his parents' dreams. Yet in truth, his parents had never burdened him. They knew that dreams can break, but they can also mend again, and their sacrifices were always the light guiding Adam's path. Adam's father was a farmer. He plowed the fields day and night, burning under the sun, drenched in the rains, yet never complaining. He knew that if his son was to study, he must not sell the land but draw even more from it. That is why he often ate less himself, just so he could bring Adam books. His mother had given every moment of her life to her son's dream. At night, when Adam lit the lamp to study, she would sit by the window praying for him. Many times, when there was no food at home, she would quietly place her portion in front of Adam. And if Adam ever asked, she would smile and say, "Son, I'm not hungry. You eat more." These sacrifices were silent, but for Adam they were as strong as a mountain. He knew his mother had started mending her old shawl instead of buying a new one, and his father had given up things he needed, all so he could learn. After his failure, when Adam spoke of giving up on his dreams, his father placed a hand on his shoulder and said, "Son, a farmer who plows the land knows that the crop doesn't always grow the first time. Sometimes the soil is hard, sometimes the seed is weak, but the farmer never loses hope. He sows again. You are a farmer's son. You are not meant to give up." His mother also spoke softly, "Adam, we endured our hunger. We sacrificed our needs only so that you could move forward. If you stop now, all these sacrifices will go to waste. But if you try again, perhaps these very sacrifices will carry you closer to success. Adam saw the reflection of love and sacrifice in his parents' eyes. He understood then that this dream was not only his, but also his parents' dream, the dream for which they had risked everything. In that moment, a new spirit awakened in Adam's heart. He realized that parents' sacrifices are never in vain. If he failed, it would not just be his own loss, but the loss of their sacrifices too. And this thought became the greatest support of his courage. The dirt streets of Adam's village and the narrow paths of the fields were the identity of his childhood. But now the time had come for him to set out on a new journey, carrying with him his mother's prayers and his father's sacrifices. This journey was not easy, but the light of dreams always compelled him to keep moving forward. Going to the city was like stepping into a whole new world. After the small school of the village, studying in a big institution of the city was a dream for him. But this dream was not only about education, it carried within it the sacrifices of his parents, the hopes of the village, and Adam's own determination. Early in the morning, when Adam was about to leave, his mother handed him an old cloth bag. There wasn't much inside, some books, 2 pairs of clothes and a few coins. But there was also something else in that bag, his mother's prayers and his father's trust. His father placed a hand on Adam's shoulder and said, "Son, this journey may be difficult, but remember the seeker of knowledge is never alone. Our prayers are with you." With tears in her eyes, his mother said, "Adam, the roads will be long, the people will be strangers, but never lose courage. Remember, light always comes after darkness." Adam looked closely at his mother's and father's faces. He realized that in their hearts there was both pride and the pain of separation. But they had chosen their son's future above everything else. This feeling was strengthening his steps. As Adam was leaving the boundaries of the village, some villagers mocked him. "Do books ever fill stomachs? Where do these villagers ever succeed in the city?" Adam heard it all, but his father's words echoed in his heart. He knew that the son of a farmer was not born to give up. The journey to the city was not easy. The roads were long, his pockets nearly empty, and his heart filled with many fears. Yet deep inside there was also the belief that this journey was the first step toward turning his dreams into reality. With every step away from the village toward the city, Adam remembered his parents' sacrifices. He thought, if his mother could endure hunger and his father could sacrifice his comfort, how could he give up on this journey? When he reached the gates of the city, Adam saw tall buildings for the first time, crowded markets, and among the unfamiliar faces, he found himself in an entirely new world. His heart trembled a little, but then his mother's voice echoed in his ears, "Adam, never lose courage." That was the moment he decided that no matter how difficult the path may be, he would surely reach his destination. The son of the village was now going to become a student of the city. When Adam first entered his hostel room in the city, it felt as if he had stepped into an unfamiliar world. There was no scent of soil like in the village, no breeze from the fields that calmed his heart. Here, everything was filled with noise, haste, and indifference. Tall buildings seemed to touch the sky, but in their shadow Adam felt very small. 3 other boys lived in the hostel room with him. Their clothes were new, their conversations sharp, and their accents completely different. They had mobile phones, expensive shoes, and spoke in the language of the city. When Adam introduced himself, they smiled and nodded, but the smile lacked the warmth he was used to. On his first night in the hostel, Adam couldn't sleep. In place of the village's peace and his mother's lullabies, there were only noises and the voices of strangers. Turning from side to side, he told himself, "This is the world where I must fulfill my dreams. I cannot give up." The next day, in class, the teaching style was entirely new to him. Back in the village, he had learned with a slate and chalk. Here there were projectors, slides, and difficult words. Many things went over his head. Other students laughed and confidently asked questions, but Adam's heart trembled at the thought that if he asked something, everyone might laugh at him. For many days, Adam felt like a stranger. Even in the cafeteria, while eating, he missed his mother's cooking. The bread here was different, the taste unfamiliar. In the marketplace, people hurried about. No one had time to stop and talk. Adam wondered, is this really the city where dreams come true? Or is it just a place where people lose their identity? But whenever his heart began to lose hope, he remembered his parents' sacrifices. He thought, if he couldn't endure this strange environment, how would his mother's bright eyes and his father's hopes be fulfilled? One day after class, the teacher said, Adam, you stay too quiet. Knowledge comes to those who ask questions, not to those who hide. Next time, be brave and ask. Those words etched themselves into Adam's heart. He felt that perhaps this city, this strange environment, hadn't come to break him, but to shape him. This unfamiliar world surely placed him in difficulty, but those very difficulties were slowly turning into the steps of his dream. The days and nights in the city became a constant test for Adam. The little money he had brought from the village quickly ran out. Hostel fees, book expenses, and daily meals, all of it began to slip beyond his reach. Many times he saw his fellow students enjoying delicious meals together, while he had nothing more than dry bread and water. At first he dreamed of eating to his fill, but slowly he had to learn to endure his hunger. Sometimes he would sit in the library, burying himself in books to pass the time and dull the feeling of emptiness. But at night, when his stomach remained empty in the hostel room, tears would inevitably fill his eyes. Loneliness also pierced Adam's heart. In the village, people were always around, friends, relatives, familiar faces. Here in the city, even in the middle of a crowd, he felt utterly alone. His classmates joked among themselves, went out on weekends, but Adam remained lost in his books and the silence of his room. There were nights when he felt certain he would give up. Hunger weighed on him, and so did the emptiness inside his heart. He wondered, will these sacrifices really lead to success? Or am I just wasting my time in hunger and loneliness? But then he remembered his father's words, Son, hunger and hardships are temporary, but knowledge is wealth forever. Those words became his comfort. Hunger taught him patience, and loneliness taught him how to look within. He began to make books his friends, and his dreams became the food that sustained him. Slowly, Adam realized that every great goal demands sacrifice. The journey to success is never easy, and those who truly desire it must face hunger, loneliness, and hardship with courage. Adam's life revolved around hunger, loneliness, and struggle, but he never backed away from hard work. Spending his days fully focused in class and his nights sitting late in the library became his routine. Often with hunger and sleeplessness pressing on him, he would spend hours turning the pages of books. His belief was growing stronger that hard work would one day bear fruit. One day the university announced a small competition. The topic was how education can change a person's life. Every student was given the chance to present their thoughts in the form of a short speech or essay. A desire stirred in Adam's heart to participate, but fear immediately followed. How can I speak in front of such smart and confident students? They might laugh at me. But then he listened to the voice within. If you miss this chance, then when will you show the world your effort? That night he sat with pen and paper, forgetting the pain of hunger, and poured his dreams and emotions into words. By morning, his eyes were tired, but his heart was filled with new energy. On the day of the competition, the hall was crowded. One by one, the students delivered their speeches. When Adam's turn came, his heart pounded loudly and his hands trembled. But as soon as he began to speak, the room fell silent. His words came straight from the heart, and so they touched the hearts of others. He spoke about how, despite poverty, the pursuit of knowledge strengthens a person. When he finished, there was a moment of silence, and then the hall burst into applause. Tears rolled down Adam's face. This was the first success of his life. In the darkness of hunger and loneliness, a small light had finally been lit. When the results were announced, Adam had won first place. The prize was not grand, just a few books and a certificate, but for him it was the most precious treasure in the world. He hung that certificate on the wall of his hostel room. Every time he looked at it, a new strength rose within him. This first success was only a small step, but it brought Adam's dreams back to life. He now believed with certainty that if he did not give up, one day even his biggest dreams would come true. Adam had tasted his first success, but the road ahead was still difficult. City life gave him knowledge, but it also tested his patience and endurance again and again. Sometimes his money would run out, sometimes he survived for days only on bread and water. Loneliness often weighed heavily on his heart, but in those moments, fate gave him a few friends who became the most precious gifts of his life. The closest among them was David. David also came from a simple family, so he truly understood Adam's struggles. One day, when Adam fell asleep on the library table from hunger, David quietly placed a food box in front of him. When Adam opened his eyes, he couldn't stop his tears. David smiled and said, "Brother, to feed your hunger for knowledge, you shouldn't have to starve your stomach. Take this. Starting tomorrow, we'll eat together." Slowly, two more companions, Mark and Sophia, grew close to him. The three not only encouraged him in class, but also studied late at night together in his room. Whenever Adam lost courage and said maybe this dream was too big for him, Sophia gently said, "Adam, dreams only come true for those who refuse to give up. You just keep going. We are with you." Mark often joked to lighten the mood so the worried lines on Adam's face would fade. They used to say, "If you ever get tired, remember you're not alone. We are your strength." These friends had no wealth and no great connections, but their hearts were pure. They showed Adam that true companionship is the one given in hard times. Adam realized that success doesn't come only from one's own hard work. It also needs the hands that lift you when you fall and the shoulders that give you support when you're tired. The pure companionship of these friends lit a new confidence in Adam's heart. He now knew that on the path of dreams, if your heart is clean and your intentions are true, life blesses you with companions who keep the light of hope alive. The support of friends created a new light inside Adam. Now he was more determined and ready than ever to turn his dreams into reality. But dreams are not fulfilled only with intentions and prayers. They need tireless effort day and night. And this was the stage where Adam spent the hardest days of his life. The mornings of the city often began with rush and noise. But for Adam, every morning brought a message of new determination. After dawn, he would get up, have a short breakfast, and immediately drown himself in his books. The library was not just a place to study, it had become his second home. People came and went, made noise, but Adam sat in his corner thinking only one thing: I cannot fail. These dreams are not only mine, they are also the sacrifices of my parents. During the day, he attended classes. In the evening, he revised notes in the library, and late at night, he sat with his friends solving problems. Often, when everyone else had fallen asleep, Adam was still writing under the dim light of a lamp. His eyes turned red, his hands grew tired, but his heart said, "Just a little more. Tomorrow, all this will bear fruit." This journey of hard work was not easy. Sometimes his body gave up from exhaustion, sometimes his mind felt heavy, but Adam knew this struggle was temporary. He had firmly decided in his heart that until he reached his destination, he would not rest. His dedication even surprised others. One day Sophia said with a laugh, "Adam, you've become a walking book. At least rest sometimes." Adam smiled and replied, "Rest will come after reaching the destination. Right now, this time is only for hard work." His notebooks gave testimony to his effort, filled with notes and solved examples. Every page was a story of how much sweat Adam had shed for his dream. This was the time when he learned that hard work is not only physical, but also a test of emotional and mental endurance. Yet every night, when he collapsed onto his bed from exhaustion, his heart awakened with the belief that one day he would surely succeed. Adam's hard work was no longer just an effort, it had become a form of worship. And this was the moment when fate, seeing his determination, began to open doors for his future. Adam's hard work and tireless effort continued without pause. He was pouring day and night into gaining knowledge. But life never gives rewards without testing first. When someone's effort is sincere and pure, the universe itself creates opportunities that lead a person onto a new journey. The same happened with Adam. One day, a major competition was announced at the university. This contest was for students who could bring something new in research and innovation. The winner would not only receive a strong scholarship, but their name would also shine across the country. Hearing the news, a wave of excitement spread among the students. Everyone wanted this golden chance to be theirs. When Adam heard it, his eyes lit up with hope. He said to himself, "This is the opportunity I have been waiting for all these years. If I can win this, not only will my dream come closer to reality, but my parents' sacrifices will finally be rewarded." But the path was not easy. The competition required a complete plan, an outstanding idea, and unmatched hard work. His friends also advised him not to miss the chance. Sophia said, "Adam, seeing your dedication and hard work, I believe you will win this. But remember, this is not the time to hold back, it's the time to give your everything." Adam decided he would enter the contest with full preparation. He began staying up late nights, collecting material from old books, taking advice from teachers, and working on his project tirelessly. Every time he felt exhausted, he remembered the moments back in his village when his parents endured hunger just to send him to study in the city. That thought filled his veins with new strength. Days passed and the competition day drew closer. Well-known students from across the city were preparing. Everyone knew this was not just a contest. It was the gateway to their future. But Adam's heart was strangely calm. He knew he had done everything within his power. The rest was in the hands of fate and God. When the day arrived, Adam entered the hall, steadying his heartbeat. Hundreds of students were there, their faces carrying both hope and fear. Adam presented his project with confidence. His words carried the fragrance of hard work, his manner showed honesty, and in his heart he carried the prayers of his parents. When the judges asked questions, Adam answered each one with clarity and courage. With every moment, his confidence grew. Finally, when the announcement came, all eyes were fixed on the stage. The judges said, "This year's winner is the one who not only showed originality in thought, but also proved through effort and determination that dreamers are the ones who change the world. And that winner is Adam." The hall echoed with applause. Tears filled Adam's eyes, not just tears of joy, but the first touch of the dreams that had lived in his heart for years. In that moment, he felt that truly, in life, opportunity knocks once, and those who listen to it create history. Adam's victory echoed throughout the city. Winning the competition not only brought him honor but also gave him a new identity. The boy who once dreamed alone in the dusty village streets was now being mentioned in the country's top educational institutions and newspapers. People praised his project and called him a bright star of the future. But success never comes only with bouquets of happiness. As Adam's fame spread, new challenges began to surround him. He was no longer just an ordinary student. Eyes were constantly watching him, and everyone expected something from him. Some people were genuinely happy for his success, but many could not accept his rise. Jealousy began to burn inside the university and beyond. Some students said, "Adam isn't that special, it's just luck." Others questioned his work, and some criticized his personality. This was not an easy time for Adam. He had thought success would bring peace, but the reality was the opposite. Every step he took was being watched. If he made a mistake, people exaggerated it. If he delayed in producing something new, they said Adam's time was over. The greatest challenge was to keep humility alive within himself. Fame changes people, often leading them toward arrogance. But Adam had promised himself he would never let success sit on his head. He knew this achievement was not only his, but the result of his parents' sacrifices, his friends' support, and his teachers' guidance. One day, Adam was invited to an event. The hall was full. everyone waiting to hear his speech. When he stepped up to the microphone, he said, "If I am standing here today, it is not because of my hard work alone. It is because of my parents' prayers. I am just an ordinary person, and if arrogance takes over me, then all of this will be meaningless." The audience applauded, but deep inside, Adam knew his journey had just become harder. The weight of fame can break anyone, but true strength lies in holding on to humility and honesty. Adam learned one important lesson. Achieving success is difficult, but keeping humility after success is the greatest test of all. Life placed Adam at a turning point that tested his character and true identity. After fame and recognition, many big opportunities came his way. A well-known company offered him a place on their team. They promised that if he worked with them, they would give him not only immense wealth, but also worldwide recognition. At first, Adam was excited. This was the very dream he had worked day and night for. But soon, he realized that the company's methods were far from honest. They deceived people for profit, made false promises, and exploited the weak. A storm raged in Adam's heart. On one side was success, wealth, and fame. On the other was truth, honesty, and the principles he had lived by all along. If he said yes, his life would change instantly. He could return to his village and show everyone how far he had come, but if he refused, the opportunity would be gone forever. That night, Adam stayed awake in his room. Looking out of the window at the sky, he thought if he chose the wrong path, he would never forgive himself. He remembered his father's words from childhood, "Son, wealth is temporary, but truth and principles last forever." The next day, standing in the company's office, Adam said in front of everyone, "I am grateful for your offer, but I cannot be part of anything built on lies. Success without truth is not success, it is a burden." The room fell silent. Some people laughed and said the young man was throwing away the biggest chance of his life, but others, deep inside, admired his courage. This decision was not easy for Adam. He had walked away from a major guarantee for his future, yet he felt a deep peace in his heart. He knew he had protected the truth, and that was real success. Over time, his choice inspired many others. Some young people also found the courage to live by their principles. Adam's life proved that the real test is not the one written on exam papers, but the one when life places two roads before you, right and wrong, and you must decide which path you will take. Adam chose the harder road, but the true one, and that became his real identity. In Adam's life journey, obstacles came one after another. Sometimes poverty blocked his way, sometimes people's insults, and sometimes the lack of opportunities tried to break him. But despite it all, he never gave up. Every time he fell, he found the courage within himself to rise again. When he had refused the dishonest company's offer, people said, "This boy will never succeed." In this world, those who live by principles die hungry. But Adam didn't lose heart. He believed that if he stayed true to hard work and honesty, one day he would succeed. He picked up his dreams again and began working day and night. His journey was not easy. Many times he had nothing to eat. Many nights he stayed awake, sometimes with books, sometimes with new ideas, and sometimes in prayer to his Lord. But every day he told himself, "These hardships didn't come to stop me, they came to make me stronger." Time passed, and soon fate began to reward his patience and effort. One of his small projects caught the attention of people in the city. It wasn't built on wealth or the greed for fame, but on hard work, sincerity, and principles. People saw that a simple young man, through honesty and dedication, was creating something that inspired others. Soon, Adam became recognized. He was no longer just a boy from his village or city, he became an example. People seeing his journey realized that real victory is not in money or fame, but in courage. His critics, who once called him weak, now watched in amazement as the same boy had become a symbol of hope for everyone. On Adam's face was a calmness, the calmness of knowing that his success came not from deceiving others, but from his own effort and courage. This was the moment when the world recognized him, but with humility he said, "This is not my victory, but God's mercy. I only had patience and kept trying." Adam's story gave a message to everyone tired of hardships. If you have courage, no obstacle can keep you from reaching your destination. Adam had reached the peak of his success. In the big city, he had earned recognition, respect, and all the comforts needed for a better life. Yet, deep in his heart, there was always an emptiness, the longing for his village, for his homeland, and for the people who once laughed at his dreams, but had in truth been the reason behind his journey. The day came when Adam decided it was time to return to his roots. He got into his car and headed toward the old paths of his village. As soon as his eyes fell on the fields, the ancient trees and the dirt roads, a calm peace filled his heart. The villagers who once mocked him were now astonished. The same Adam they had considered poor and a failure had returned as a successful and respected man. But the most surprising thing was that not even a trace of pride could be seen in his behavior. He greeted everyone with the same humility and kindness as he had in his childhood. Adam built a small educational center for the children of the village. His purpose was to ensure that no other child would have to endure the struggles he once faced. He often told the children, "My story teaches you that if your dreams are true and your intentions are pure, no power in the world can stop you." People saw that Adam didn't live only for his own success, but also knew how to live for others. His honesty and sacrifices inspired everyone. The village elders said, "Adam is no longer just ours. He has become an example for all." Adam's return became a ray of hope for the entire village. People realized that dreams should never be laughed at. Instead, others should be encouraged to achieve them. This moment was Adam's greatest victory. Not wealth, not fame, but winning the hearts of his people and becoming a guiding light for them. The most beautiful stage of Adam's life was when he did not keep his success to himself, but chose to share it with others. He had realized that true success is not moving forward alone, but showing others the light and planting hope in their hearts. When Adam founded the educational center in his village, the children there discovered the world of books, stories, and dreams for the very first time. Their eyes sparkled with the same shine Adam once carried. The children would ask him in wonder, "Can we also become something great when we grow up?" Adam always smiled and answered, "Yes, you can become anything if you stay hardworking and keep your intentions pure. Nothing in this world is impossible." His words didn't just touch the hearts of children, they also became lessons for the elders. Parents who once stopped their children from dreaming now encouraged them instead. Adam's story taught them that neither poverty nor circumstances can block the path of dreams. The only real obstacle is when a person gives up. Adam often gathered the villagers and said, "If you give your children education and courage, this village will change. One day, these very children will become the light that guides others." His words warmed hearts and awakened minds. Inspired by him, people began helping others too. Adam had truly spread light, the light of love, of hope, and of dreams. In the end, his life was no longer just his own story of success, but an inspiration for others to dream, to struggle, and to transform their lives. The villagers proudly said, "Adam has shown us that real strength lies in lifting others up, not in moving forward alone." Adam's light never faded. It still shines in the hearts of others, reminding everyone that the truest dream is found in purity of heart and in giving courage to others. The essence of Adam's whole life could be summed up in one truth. If your intention is pure and your effort is real, no dream is impossible. He was the son of a farmer raised in the darkness of poverty, yet he never gave up. He dared to dream worked day and night to fulfill those dreams, and turned every hardship into a step toward success. His story proved that true strength does not lie in wealth or comfort, but in the courage and determination hidden within the heart. Just as a small lamp can turn darkness into light, Adam's struggle showed everyone that courage and sincerity can transform a life. Adam's success was not only his own. He gave others the lesson that no matter how hard the circumstances may be, if the heart has faith and every step is taken with effort, the destination will surely be reached. Today, when the village children open their books, they are not just reading words, they are living Adam's dream. When the villagers face difficulties, they find strength by remembering his story. They all know that Adam's lamp now burns inside them. This was the message Adam gave to the world. Poverty cannot kill dreams. Hardship cannot defeat courage. And with a pure intention, every darkness can be turned into light. Adam truly became a lamp of hope, one that still shines and guides everyone forward. Adam's story teaches us one timeless truth. True success doesn't come from wealth or fame. It comes from honesty, courage, and an unshakable belief in yourself. If Adam, a poor farmer's son, can rise above every storm, then so can you. Thank you for watching this story on Heart Scrolls. If it touched your heart, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so together we can spread more light, more hope, and more courage to the world.